Islam. In Islamic theology, creation is an act of supreme divine will executed by Allah, the absolute, uncreated creator who exists independent of time and space. The Quran states that the universe was brought into existence through divine decree. When God wills an entity into being, he simply issues the command kun, which translates to be, and it is. Creation occurred over 6 distinct periods referred to in Arabic as ayyam. Rather than 6 literal 24-hour human days, Islamic scholars generally interpret ayyam as long cosmic epochs or stages of development. According to Islamic cosmology, the heavens and the earth were originally joined together as a single dense entity, a state known as rak. God then commanded them to split apart, an event called fak. The sky was initially a hot, smoky gas, which God organized and fashioned into 7 distinct heavenly layers, or Sabah Samawat, while simultaneously shaping the earth, raising mountains, laying down water channels, and creating plant and animal life. The creation of humanity is detailed separately. God informed the angels that he was placing a vicegerent, or Khalifa, on earth. God formed the first human, Adam, from clay and earth, described variously as dry clay, dark mud, and dust. Once the physical form was shaped, God breathed into Adam his divine spirit, bringing him to life and imbuing him with intellectual capacity by teaching him the names of all things. God then commanded all angels to bow before Adam as a sign of respect for human intellect. All complied except Iblis, Satan, a jinn who refused out of pride, arguing that he was superior because he was made of smokeless fire while Adam was made of humble clay. Christian cosmogony is rooted in the concept of creation ex nihilo, creation out of nothing, by a Trinitarian God who exists outside of the physical universe. The primary creation account is found in the book of Genesis. The narrative opens with the universe as a dark, formless, watery void, tohu wa bohu, over which the Spirit of God hovers. Creation is accomplished through divine speech. God speaks words and physical reality instantly manifests. Creation unfolds over 6 structured days. Day 1, God commands light to exist, separating light from darkness to establish day and night. Day 2, God creates a dome or firmament to separate the primordial waters above from the waters below, forming the sky. Day 3, God gathers the lower waters into oceans, revealing dry land and commands plants, trees, and vegetation to grow. Day 4, God creates the sun, moon, and stars to govern seasons, days, and years. Day 5, God fills the oceans with sea life and populates the skies with birds. Day 6, God creates land animals, followed by humanity. On the 7th day, God rests, establishing the Sabbath. Humanity is created with a unique metaphysical status, made in Imago Dei, the image of God. Genesis offers a dual narrative perspective on human origin. In the 2nd chapter, God forms the first man, Adam, directly from the dust of the ground, Adama, and breathes the breath of life, Neshama, into his nostril. Finding man alone, God places Adam into a deep sleep, takes a rib or side from his body, and fashions Eve, establishing the primary ancestral pair of humanity inside the Garden of Eden. Hindu cosmology does not feature a single static creation moment. Instead, it presents an infinite cyclical universe that undergoes continuous creation, srishti, maintenance, estheti, and destruction, pralaya. Time is measured in immense cosmic cycles called kalpas or days of Brahma, each lasting 4.32 billion human years. At the beginning of every cosmic cycle, the supreme impersonal reality known as Brahman projects the material universe outward. The primary creation narrative involves the Hindu Trimurti, the triad of major deities. The universe begins as a vast, dark causal ocean. Lord Vishnu lies sleeping on the coils of the 1,000-headed serpent Shesha, floating upon these cosmic waters. As Vishnu desires creation to begin, a glowing lotus flower sprouts directly from his navel. Seated inside this lotus is Brahma, the four-faced creator god. Awakened to his duty, Brahma uses sacred Vedic knowledge to construct the physical realm, shaping the planets, elements, gods, humans, and animals. Another foundational creation myth appears in the Rigveda, known as the Purusha Sukta. In this hymn, the universe is created through the ritual sacrifice of Purusha, a primal cosmic giant who possessed 1,000 heads, eyes, and feet. The gods bind Purusha and offer him as a cosmic sacrifice. From Purusha's dismembered body parts, the physical universe is born. His mind becomes the moon. His eyes become the sun. His breath becomes the wind. His feet become the earth. His head becomes the sky. His body parts also form the structural divisions of human society, illustrating that all matter and social order are fundamentally carved from a single divine source. Judaism shares the Genesis creation narrative with Christianity, but interprets its mechanics through a distinct historical, linguistic, and mystical lens. In classical Hebrew, the opening phrase of Genesis, Bereshit bara Elohim, translates to "in the beginning of God's creating." This implies that before order was established, a chaotic, watery, dark state already existed. God does not physically wrestle this chaos. He simply speaks order into existence, dividing light from darkness, land from water, and holy time from mundane time. In Jewish mystical tradition, known as Kabbalah, 16th century scholar Isaac Luria introduced a deeper, highly abstract creation theory to explain how an infinite God could make room for a finite universe. This concept is called Tzimtzum, or divine contraction. Kabbalah teaches that before creation, the infinite light of God, Ein Sof, filled all reality. Because God was everywhere, no physical world could exist. Therefore, God performed an act of absolute self-withdrawal, contracting his infinite light inward to create a conceptual vacuum or empty space within himself. God then beamed a thin ray of divine light into this empty void. To catch this light, God created spiritual vessels. However, the divine light was so intense that the vessels shattered, an event called Shevarat HaKalim. Sparks of divine light fell into the lower vacuum, becoming trapped inside physical matter. According to Kabbalah, the purpose of human existence is to perform moral acts, observe divine commandments, and gather these scattered sparks, repairing the fractured cosmos through a process called tikkun olam. Buddhism stands unique among major religions because it actively rejects the idea of a supreme creator God or an absolute first beginning. In Buddhist philosophy, searching for a primary creation moment is considered an endless loop. The universe is governed by pratityasamutpada, the law of dependent origination, which states that everything exists in an infinite chain of cause and effect. Worlds expand, collapse, and rebuild endlessly, driven by the collective karma of living beings. The primary Buddhist text addressing how our specific world cycle took shape is the Agannanya Sutta, a discourse spoken by the historical Buddha. In this text, at the start of a new cosmic cycle, the physical earth is entirely covered in a dark, sweet, savory liquid. At this time, living beings exist as radiant, luminous, disembodied spirits known as Apasara Deva, floating above the earth without age, sex, or physical need. Curiosity drives one of these radiant beings to dip a finger into the sweet earth substance and taste it. Overcome by craving, the being continues eating it, and other spirits quickly follow. As these beings consume physical matter, their bodies gradually coarsen, gain physical weight, and solidify. Their internal luminescence fades away, leaving the world in darkness until the sun, moon, and stars manifest. As physical bodies take shape, differences appear. Some become attractive, while others become plain, giving rise to pride and envy. The sweet earth disappears, replaced by plants and rice. The beings develop physical organs, sexual differences, and desire, leading them to build shelters to hide their activities. Desire leads to the hoarding of rice, which creates the concepts of private property, theft, and conflict. To maintain order, the community gathers and elects the most capable individual to enforce justice, creating the first king, Mahasamada, showing that physical reality and human social structures are self-generated products of craving and karma. Sikhism's Sikh creation theology is strictly monotheistic, describing an infinite creator who existed in absolute, silent solitude before bringing the material universe into being. According to the Guru Granth Sahib, the holy scripture of Sikhism, before creation existed a state called Sunn Samadh, a profound, unmanifest void of absolute darkness. For billions of years, there were no heavens, no earth, no sun, no moon, no day, and no night. There was no karma, no religion, no birth, and no death. Only the supreme creator known as Ik Ankar existed, resting in a state of absolute unmanifest meditation. Creation began through a single divine act of will. God issued a single utterance or word known as the Kavau. From that single divine command, the universe expanded instantly into existence. Rivers began to flow, galaxies took shape, and space opened up. The scripture maps out a specific sequence for material creation. First, God created the subtle air. From the air, he generated water. From water, he constructed the entire physical universe, infusing his own divine light into every molecule of matter. Unlike traditions that view creation as separate from the creator, Sikhism teaches that God is both transcendent, existing outside the universe, and immanent, dwelling directly within every leaf, star, and living creature. The universe is considered a living temple reflecting divine presence. Taoism approaches creation through a naturalistic, non-personified model. There is no personal conscious creator God who issues commands. Instead, the universe unfolds spontaneously through the eternal, natural flow of the Tao, the Way. The classic text Tao Te Ching summarizes creation in a famous formula. The Tao produced one, one produced two, two produced three, and three produced the 10,000 thing. This cosmological process unfolds in clear natural stages. The stage of Wuji. Before creation, reality exists as Wuji, an absolute, formless, silent, and infinite void. It contains no matter, no time, and no distinction. The emergence of Teji. Out of this formless void, motion spontaneously arises, creating Teji, the supreme ultimate. Teji represents the primeval energy matrix of the cosmos. The split into yin and yang. Teji differentiates into two fundamental complementary polar forces. Yin, the dark, cool, passive, receptive, and earthly energy, and yang, the light, warm, active, creative, and heavenly energy. The five elements: The dynamic interaction and constant movement between yin and yang generates the five elements known as the wuxing: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. The 10,000 things. The combination and recombination of these five elements generate the 10,000 things, a poetic phrase representing every physical object, organism, and phenomenon in the universe. Humanity was not created to rule nature, but is simply one of the 10,000 things, designed to live in effortless alignment with the cosmic rhythm of the Tao. Zoroastrianism, Zoroastrian cosmogony, presents a dualistic creation narrative centered on a cosmic battle between good and evil that unfolds over a 12,000-year timeline. The universe was created by Ahura Mazda, the supreme lord of wisdom, who represents absolute goodness, light, and truth. Opposing him is Angra Mainyu or Ahriman, the destructive spirit who represents darkness, chaos, and deception. Ahura Mazda created the universe in two distinct phases: the Menog phase. For the first 3,000 years, Ahura Mazda constructed the universe in a spiritual, immaterial state. It was perfect, motionless, and free of decay. The Gedig phase, Ahura Mazda then brought creation into physical, material form. He constructed 7 physical foundations: the sky, water, the earth, plants, a single primeval bull Gaviokded, the first human Gayamard, and sacred fire. Seeing this creation, Angra Mainyu attacked. He drilled a hole through the sky, polluted the clean waters, created deserts, introduced sickness and death, and killed both the primeval bull and the primeval human. However, Ahura Mazda turned this destruction into new life. When the primeval bull died, its purified seed fell into the earth, sprouting all the world's plant life and animal species. When the first human, Gayamard, died, his seed entered the ground, growing into a rhubarb plant. This plant split open to form the first human couple, Mashia and Mashiana. Angra Mainyu deceived the couple into believing he was the creator, introducing sin to humanity. From that point forward, physical reality became an active battlefield where humans must choose between good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, or the deception of chaos. Shinto, the indigenous religion of Japan, explains cosmic origins through a rich narrative of divine procreation, physical formation, and the birth of nature spirits known as kami. According to the ancient text Kojiki, the universe began as an unformed, chaotic ocean where light and dark were mixed. Gradually, the lighter, clearer elements floated upward to form heaven, Takamagahara, while the heavy elements sank down to form the earth. Several generations of invisible, primordial deities emerged spontaneously in heaven. Eventually, the 7th generation brought forth 2 sibling deities: Izanagi, the male who invites, and Izanami, the female who invites. The elder heavenly gods handed Izanagi and Izanami a jewel-encrusted spear called a Menuhoko and instructed them to create solid land. Standing on the heavenly floating bridge, Izanagi and Izanami thrust the spear down into the chaotic ocean below and churned the waters. When they lifted the spear, drops of salty brine dripped from its tip and hardened, forming the first island, Onagora. The 2 deities descended to the island, built a central pillar, and conducted a marriage ritual. Izanami gave birth to the various islands that make up the Japanese archipelago, followed by the birth of the natural kami, the spirits of the mountains, rivers, winds, trees, and seas. During the birth of the fire god, Izanami was fatally burned and descended to Yomi, the underworld. Distraught, Izanagi visited her but found her body decaying. Fleeing in horror, Izanagi sealed the entrance to the underworld with a massive boulder. He then bathed in a river to cleanse himself of the death pollution. As he washed his left eye, he birthed Amaterasu, the sun goddess. As he washed his right eye, he birthed Tsukuyomi, the moon god. And as he washed his nose, he birthed Susanoo, the storm god, establishing the divine pantheon of the natural world. Ancient Egyptian religion, ancient Egyptian cosmogony varied across major religious centers, but the most influential model was established at the holy city of Heliopolis. The universe began as a dark, boundless, lifeless ocean of chaotic primeval water called Nun. Nun contained all the raw potential for existence, but held no form, light, or structure. Creation officially began when a single mound of dry earth, known as the Benben, rose up out of the dark waters of Nun, a divine event mirrored every year by the fertile soil emerging from the flooding Nile River. Standing atop the Benben stone was the self-created sun god, Atum, later associated with Ra. Atum possessed all elements of creation within his own body. Through an act of self-fertilization described metaphorically as spitting or masturbation, Atum produced the first pair of divine children: Shu, the god of dry air and wind; Tefnut, the goddess of moisture and rain. Shu and Tefnut left their father on the primeval mound to explore the dark void. When they returned, Atum wept tears of joy. Where his tears touched the earth, the first human beings sprouted. Shu and Tefnut then mated, giving birth to Jeb, the god of the physical earth, and Nut, the goddess of the starry sky. Jeb and Nut lay wrapped in a tight embrace, leaving no space for life to grow. Their father Shu, the air god, stepped between them, lifting his daughter Nut high above his head to form the sky dome while pushing Jeb down to form the ground. This separation created the open atmosphere, allowing light, air, and physical life to flourish.